I'm Chris Murphy.
And I'm Jennifer Logan.
And we're the Community Theater Heroes.
We host a weekly podcast where we interview theater companies,
actors,
casting directors,
playwrights,
composers,
and other theater artists to give our listeners helpful advice, tips, and insight for their own careers.
And life in general, because we believe that live theater has the power to make the world a better place.
Hey, all you CT heroes out there. Welcome to episode 15, our musical theater auditions episode featuring the amazing actor Johnnie Torres. Johnnie gives some really great advice on auditioning for musical theater, as well as tips on learning how to sing and creating a more believable stage kiss. He also talks about the new organization he's creating called PLATA, Portland Local Actors and Theaters Alliance. Hope you enjoy the episode.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the, I forget what the name of the
No one can remember the name. Michael, we tried this with Michael Tufel. He screwed it up.
Community Theater Heroes.
Let's try it again.
Let's try that again.
And
Welcome to the Community Theater Heroes podcast. My name is Johnnie Torres. I'm here with Jennifer Logan and Chris Murphy.
welcome.
Jeez.
Yeah, I'll do it until you.
Oh, and Sarah Fuller. Sorry. She was out of my sight line.
Keys. Okay.
She's eyes in the back of my head.
Play us in, Sarah. This is the worst intro.
Not the best.
Do it right,
Not the
guys.
best.
No. I don't edit this stuff out. It's
I
real.
know, it's really
real
upsetting. It's very upsetting.
Hey.
I used to do a podcast for a KPFK called This Way Out in Southern California, and it was LGBT news like from around the world. So they loved my announcer voice. Yes, it is. And then you can do it in Spanish or like garantizado, blah, blah, blah. Like it's like.
Can you introduce our podcast in Spanish?
Oh my gosh.
Here we go. Shh, everyone listen.
I'm trying to think of how this. I'm translating in my head. What is it called again? Community Theater Heroes.
Did no one get this guy's sticker? Get a
Wait,
sticker.
bienvenido. Gracias. Estás en un podcast. I don't know how to say podcast in Spanish. Del teatro de comunidad. Los heroes de comunidad, de teatro de comunidad. That's how you say it.
That was good.
You have to put the adjectives behind the nouns in Spanish.
Whatever you're doing.
Oh, is it working for you? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jennifer.
And
needs
that's
a
our
moment.
show.
All right.
Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Can we get a towel for Miss Logan, please?
Get him a sticker and get her
and get her a handy wipe.
You're gonna need a couple, honey.
I'm so glad Ryder has his headphones on.
My son's in the corner with earphones in.
He's not listening.
He's playing.
And then later on he goes, "What was that about a towel, Mom?" Like he's gonna he's gonna bring it up later. What do they mean when they said towel?
So
Who is Johnnie Torres?
Johnnie Torres.
Let's just do it.
Johnnie Torres. I worked with Johnnie Torres the first time in The Normal Heart.
Yes, 2017.
2017. He was amazing.
That's right. She's talking about Normal Heart again.
Okay, calm down. Calm down.
10 out of 10
Let's
episodes.
turn it off.
Well,
here.
she did take home the Twitty Award.
I thought it was a
A
twatty.
Twitty.
Isn't it?
No, we don't say that.
it's
No,
a Twitty.
it's a Twitty. It's the Twilight Theater Awards. Twitty.
Twilight Theater.
Twilight.
It's a
It's
Twitty.
Twilight Theater. You kind of
It's
put
a
it together
Twitty.
and you get a Twitty.
Yeah, it's in my purse. So, I mean.
Does she carry it around?
Yeah. I didn't think Dorinda might like that if I called it Twitties because I just named it that right at the ceremony.
The ceremony which you emceed.
Yes, which I
expertly.
emceed. That was fun. And
Expertly.
I have been invited to MC it next year.
Yay!
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Dorinda's like, who else is going to do it?
Yeah, no one's going to
No one
follow
else
that.
wants to.
Nobody else wants to.
Oh, congratulations.
It's not my fault, I swear.
And you're
You're
the only one
introducing
willing
the
to
parade.
pay them to host. So, of course, we need to make our money.
Right. Right.
No, but Johnnie is an actor. He is an amazing actor.
Oh, thank you, Chris.
I know I made fun of you for mentioning Normal Heart again because you do every time we have a podcast.
It's very relevant.
Yeah.
It was relevant and she was amazing.
Well, debatable. Oh, No, but Johnny here was really good.
Thank you.
Jennifer was great. She,
Yes.
rolled in on her wheelchair.
Okay, all right.
She
He does it there, cowboy.
You should
It
have
was
seen
a
her when
jazzy.
she was. You should
Number one.
It was a
It was a
jazzy.
jazzy.
You should have seen her when she was first learning, and it was boom, and then it was a cuss word, boom, cuss word. I can't say it because we're on a pod, and no, but
Took some
yes,
finessing.
and then I died of AIDS 3 times a week, so that was fun.
You had to do really interestingly because it wasn't exactly a hospital bed. It was like a fashion kind of a weird table
Gurney that
bed.
we made out of plywood.
He had to make it look really good, but he's essentially engaging
Propped
his
up.
abs the entire time.
I was propped up so that the audience obviously could see my face, and yeah. But the actor that played my lover, Marv. Gosh, I haven't worked with him since then. Marv Gray was amazing because I'm not one of those actors that can cry on cue. I can't. I have to really make myself cry, but all I had to do was look at Marv, and tears would stream down his face every time. And as soon as he started crying, because he's such a sweetheart, the waterworks just came out. I was like, oh, poor Marv. But yeah, it was wonderful. That was a really, really great experience.
What's been your favorite theater experience thus far, either in California or Oregon?
There's been a lot, but that
Or Washington, because
Nope.
now he's in Washington.
is it okay if I name drop? Because Jason England says I name drop too much.
You can name drop.
Jason England says a lot of stuff about
Let's
you,
name
Jonathan.
drop
I'm just
Jason
kidding. He doesn't.
England and his name dropping bull.
Jason
I
England.
love the
Malarkey.
director of The Normal Heart. Here we go, full circle again.
Jason England.
Yes, Jason actually directed the first show that I was in at Twilight, Comfort and Joy.
Oh, I heard
Yeah,
that was great.
that was amazing. Adriana Ganser, who we all love, and she's an actress that can cry on cue. I don't know how she does it. Like all of a sudden the tears just go boosh, and she did it in rehearsal once, and I said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm acting." And I was like, "I hate," and I
day?
said, "I hate you. I hate that you can do that." I started when I was a kid. I mean, I was like a school show, and my mom heard me sing, and the whole audience was quiet. And at that minute, she was like, "I got to get this kid into classes, acting classes, and singing, vocal classes." And I think the only thing they wouldn't let me do was dance classes. My dad just refused to let me do that. I was, raised in a Latino household, and it was all about sports, and all of my cousins were champion, baseball, basketball, and even my sister played like volleyball, softball, soccer. And there was these 2 girls that lived across the street that went to ballet class, and this VW bus would pull up at their house, and the door would slide open, and all the little girls would jump out, in their little tutus. And I had something in me just said, I need to go with them. My dad's like, no, that's not what you do. He said, there's no boys there, and you don't go there because there's no boys there. That was his explanation. Well, the next summer, there were 2 boys in the class. Like the 2 boys jumped out of that van, and I was like, Dad! And I just went nuts, And my mother's like, well, what excuse are you going to use now?
Right.
So they let me dance. And I wasn't any good. But no, I knew incredible dancers. I danced all through like high school and college, and a partner of mine actually was a dancer with American Ballet Theater. His name was Dale Lane. I should name him because he was wonderful. He was the last. Yeah, we're not together anymore, so it doesn't matter. But Dale was the last dancer that was hired by Balanchine. And then the following year, Jerome Robbins took over the American Ballet Theater, and Dale was an incredible dancer. I mean, he was Balanchine, Jerome Robbins. They loved him. Nureyev locked him in a closet, but we'll talk about that some other time.
Jen has no idea who these people
Let's
are.
talk about me.
Sarah, our production manager,
You asked me a question about my favorite theater experience, and this is what it was. It was when I was training. It was right out of college, because it was like 90, 91. I was in Young Actors Program at Strasberg in West Hollywood, and my teachers were like Shelley Winters and Charles Nelson Riley, and Tim Robbins was like in a class that I was in. Helen Hunt was in a class that I was in. Don't ask. And so yeah, there I go name dropping. But yes,
Helen
and
Hunt's dog Waka picks up
Shelley.
every once in a while.
Yeah, does she really? See, I know it. See, it sounds like I'm like, but when you live in Hollywood and you get involved in theater, you're just gonna run into these people because that's where they are. Shelley was like a bag lady. You know, she'd always have like a cap pulled down, and she'd walk around with these shopping bags. And there was a coffee shop across the street from Strasbourg called the Silver Spoon. And we'd all go over there after class, and Shelley would say she would join us, but, you know, she always had stuff to do. She was going to come later. All of a sudden, you'd hear a voice, like, from the front of the restaurant, "Where are you?" You know, I can't do Shelley Winters, but, I mean, you know, that whiny voice, right? "We're over here, Shelley," you know, and people wouldn't even recognize her. She'd just walk right past them because, you know, she looks like this bag lady. And the rumor was that she carried her Oscars around in those bags. I never looked in the bag. But I heard a story. Here's a great story. Martin Scorsese asked Shelley Winters to read for The Godfather. He actually wanted her to do a screen test. So they had a first meeting where he told her, "I want you to test for my movie," right? And she pulled the 2 Oscars out of the bag and put them on the desk and said, "Ask these 2 guys if I need a screen test." And that was the end of the meeting. And then he cut that part out of the movie, the part that she was auditioning for, that he wanted her to audition for. Like there was supposed to be like a matriarchal figure that was like, I guess like an opposition to the Marlon Brando character. And no, he was like, "I don't want to work with her." But she
Don't bring your Oscars out on the table.
Don't mess with Shelley. Don't mess with Shelley when she brings her Oscars out. But people don't realize like what an incredible stage actress she was before she started doing movies, and what a beautiful woman she was when she was young. I mean, she was hot stuff like back in the day. And so it kind of came up today. We were working out a kissing scene, and I just was remembering the things that Shelley would teach us about stage kissing and how you can actually kiss someone and not actually kiss them. Like you can kiss them on the side of their mouth, or if you're going to make it tender, like always reach for the person, and you don't have to pull someone into you, like go to them. Or if you have to do a forceful kiss, this is always very touchy because you'll end up going like pow and clanking teeth and stuff like that. And that's horrible. If you have to make it forceful, the one person who's the aggressor, because there's always like an aggressor and then the person who gets kissed. The aggressor comes forward, the passive person reacts to it. So have the person come forward, have them react so that there's a cushion there, and then instead of like smacking them right in the teeth, kiss them here, or kiss them like where there's a soft part of their face, so there's more of a cushion. And so now if I have to kiss you, I'm going to grab your head, right, and I'm going to go now, and you're going to turn a little bit more towards me, right? So now the audience over here, sorry, I hope you can hear that. The audience over here sees my lips touching you. The audience over here sees your lips touching me. And the audience right here just sees the back of my head. So they think we've kissed.
So all of the angles are covered.
Right. And that also works if there's a person that you're cast with that you don't really want to kiss.
Also, for those of you listening, Johnnie Torres just stage kissed me. So
That was nice.
Done. Done.
Get out of here.
They said it couldn't be done.
I thought that was...
No one said that, actually.
They said all of them.
No, never.
Every one of them.
Watch out, Ryan Gosling. You're next on the
girl.
bucket list.
I had to kiss Jen in our Fertile Ground show, and she slapped me so hard afterwards. It was unbelievable.
Well, was she supposed... Was that in the script?
You know,
Actually, it wasn't called for it at all. We just thought it was funny.
Just wanted to
It
smack
wasn't,
you.
was it?
What a rude way to describe that. It was uncalled for completely. But it was borderline assault.
Tony, our director, like, I don't think anyone was expecting it. It was awful. I mean, but I told her to. Okay, like in her defense,
I said, can I get weird with this?
Right.
and I said,
weird.
of course.
He was like, the weirder the better. Or something to that effect.
Probably. So Johnny, who are you playing in Boeing?
Continuing with the Johnnie Torres interview, my character's name is Robert, and
is he the architect?
No, he's the wacky friend that comes from Wisconsin to visit. I was a huge fan of Boeing as a kid. It was one of those movies they used to show on Saturdays after the cartoons were over. So I've seen it like a bazillion times. And I would be like the Jerry Lewis as opposed to the Tony Curtis. So, and I've actually tried very hard not to do too much Jerry Lewis characterization. And Casey hates it when she sees me do Jerry. So, but it's hard because, you see someone do a role and it's so iconic. So actually my inspirations for that is more like on the Jerry Van Dyke side. Like he's kind of like the little sheepish guy as opposed to wacky, over the top. But he has moments where he has to get to there. So we're doing that, and Casey's very good at getting us there.
Nice, nice. Now, you do a lot of musical theater acting as well.
I'm doing a musical right now at Torch Song Entertainment called Sanguine Academy, which is a vampire and werewolves show. I play a werewolf, obviously. And I did ask Heidi Davis, who's the artistic director there, I asked her if she cast me because I was so hairy. And she just said, you're really right for the part. So that's fine. And I did notice that we have a lot of kissing scenes to get more kissing. Very like kind of passionate because she's a vampire and I'm a werewolf. So we like, it's a little animalistic at points. And I said, wow, Heidi, there's so many like these makeout scenes. And she goes, yeah, the part was originally written for Craig Fitzpatrick.
Craig was on our show a few months ago.
Craig, and I said to her, yeah, I can see that now. Yeah, I can understand why you'd want to kiss him.
That's fair. That's fair. There's 25 kisses that are uncalled for.
Yeah, I'm like, why are there so many?
Why are so many of them off stage? Like, it's so weird.
He takes off his shirt. Is that a
again
stage
and
direction?
again? Yeah,
Just
no, that was a
offer
Craig
up the
direction,
second
not a Johnny direction.
Why are we kissing on a moped? Or his scooter?
Why is she recording it?
She's uploading it on YouTube.
But you've actually helped me with this before in the past, where there's been some kind of a musical theater audition or something, and you've kind of helped me either with material or advice. What are some ways? Because we've had a what is the new term for a collaborative pianist?
Okay.
Matt Inslee.
Oh yeah. I know
She
Matt.
giggles every time.
You say the word pianist. Yeah. It's pianist. Pronounce it correctly.
Pianist.
There you go. Okay.
Yes. But we've had sort of the production side of the pianist.
Right.
And I'm trying so hard.
She's blushing.
I'm trying so hard.
Just finish that thought, Jen. You're
I'm
almost
12
there.
years old.
You're almost
I'm
there.
Sorry. But we haven't had any advice from a musical theater actor.
Yeah.
To offer up for auditions.
I got
and
so
preparation.
Yeah, I got so many. There's a lot of confusing information, a lot of what would you say, like conflicting information about auditioning for musicals. Some people say don't ever sing something from the show, which doesn't really make sense for me, because if you want that part, then shouldn't you show that you can sing that part? And some actors will say no, some directors will say no. I think if you have something, if you don't know anything from the show, or you don't feel it's a good idea to sing something from the show, something that shows off your range, something that is a musical theater or musical theater based thing, don't go into West Side Story singing, Janis Joplin. It's just,
Right. Like
it doesn't make
matching
any
styles.
sense. Yeah, match
Right.
the style to what you're auditioning for. Be prepared to move, because you might, sometimes the dance and the music is at the same time. And it's got to be a song that you can get through like 6 to like 8 bars through and show off something. Mm-hmm. So if it's got like an 8-minute, ballady interlude, then don't do it.
So make a good cut.
Yeah, and even talk to your accompanist. If you have a chance to talk to him before you actually go on, most accompanists actually really appreciate seeing your music before you go up. Like I'm not saying like when he's auditioning with somebody else, but if he's like alone, or if you have like they give you a few moments, yeah, definitely talk to your accompanist. Know your keys. If it's not you should always go with something that's written in the correct key. But if it isn't, then know your key. Because that, even with an accompanist, that puts you like miles above everybody else. Because they go, oh, this person is a singer. And a musician. They actually know what they're doing.
Singer and a musician. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, anybody who has a voice basically can sing. Not saying they're going to sing well, but a musician, and if you are a singer, and if that's what you want to do, and if that's what you want to do is to continue in musical theater, then yeah, you should at least know how to pick the notes out of your melody or what key your song is in. So, and be able to read it on the page and go, oh yeah, that's a G, that's a C, you know, and it's not very difficult to learn. Like most songs are written within an octave anyway. They're not beyond that. Right. So it's pretty easy to recognize on a page what that one octave is, what note is what. So yeah, do that. Do a little bit. That puts you in a little higher level than just someone who just walks in and sings a song. And know the show. I mean, if it is something common like or well known like West Side Story or Oliver or somebody's doing Oklahoma right now. I mean, these are shows that have been around for 50, 60, 70 years. You know, you learn a little bit about the show. You know, and a lot of those older musical adaptations of like the Rodgers and Hammerstein stuff, they're pretty faithful to the stage versions. They have a very, very strict the Hammerstein Institute or whatever, they have a very, very strict code for all that. Like everything has to be done to the letter to what those gentlemen wrote.
So Johnny, do you have any advice like for someone like me? I've done a couple musicals. I did a funny thing happened on the way to the Forum. I played Pseudolus. That's like 3 or 4 years ago.
Somebody's doing that somewhere too.
They're doing it at Hart next year.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And that part's like it's Sondheim. I could sing, speak it, you know, okay. And I've done a couple others, but I have never had any musical theater training at all. And there are times like where I would like to go audition for a musical, but I feel I would not even know the first thing to do at times. Like, what is some advice you can offer to someone like me that does a lot of theater, that does acting, but they don't know, like I haven't taken a voice class. I don't necessarily know what key I even sing in.
Yeah.
Like,
well, here's something. Here, you can work with someone, and I know it gets expensive when you work with a vocal coach or you work with an accompanist. There actually are quite a few very good accompanists and pianists in town. Finding someone who will work with you for like maybe an hour or on a Saturday or something, bring some songs in and just work it out is it's not too hard. I know a couple people that do that. And then also now there's so much karaoke on, like, even on YouTube of all the musical theater songs. So find one that you want to do and, you know, try to find it in your key. If it's not, you know, karaoke is adjustable, and then record yourself. And I think that one of the most important bits of advice I ever got about learning to sing was to listen to myself singing. Because so many other singers learn to sing by listening to other singers. When I was a kid, I listened to all my mother's musical theater albums, you know, and then I ended up trying to sing like Julie Andrews or Marnie Nixon or whoever the heck was on there, right? Mm-hmm. Or like even like Barbra Streisand or whatever, Diana Ross and the Supremes. It's like, okay, obviously I'm not going to sing like them. But I'm not saying sing like them, but imitate their styles or their phrasing. And you have to learn what you can do, and the only way you can do that is to listen to yourself. And you can't do that while you're singing. You have to record yourself, and it's very painful. It's horrible. Like the first, even to this day, if I record myself singing, you hear all the bad notes, and that's a good thing. You want to hear all the things you do wrong because you want to know how to fix it, and you want to be able to fix it. But you also, I encourage people who are doing that, because I've coached some people. I coached the singers in Stage Kiss, and a couple of them would not qualify or classify themselves as singers. And they were honest about that. I encourage them also to keep listening to it and hear the good things. Find a pretty note. Like, oh, that sounded pretty to me. Even if you don't recognize if it's on pitch or whatever, find it, and then you'll learn what you can do well. And then you'll learn how to repeat what you do well. And that's the only way really to become a good singer, is to just keep repeating the things that you do as a singer well. So when you'll find out when it's in your chest or when it's in your head, that's the only way to do it.
So what advice would you give? Like, because me personally, I fall into this category where I find that imitation is something that I do almost naturally. To a detriment though, because I feel like I don't actually know what my voice sounds like because I'm so busy imitating all these others. So I don't have a genuine thing. I'm so busy filling it with other people's
you got to record yourself.
How do you just that?
Yeah, just do it with. You can do it with your computer now or with your phone or
singing and not imitate the style that someone else is.
Well, you might be. And then what you need to do is listen to it and recognize it. You're like, oh gosh, I was trying to sound like Barbara there, or I was trying to sound like Cher there, or whoever, and hear it, and then don't do it anymore. So you have to be conscious of it so that you know that you shouldn't do it anymore. And it sometimes takes a lot of repetition, just doing it over and over again, so that you get into the habit of breaking those habits, of doing you rather than doing other people. So.
That's really good advice.
That is really good advice.
That is. So we're almost out of time. Do you have, we like to ask this question a lot. Do you have a horror story from an audition or from being on stage, like a really bad moment?
There would be too many. I did actually have an announcement about next year. I am auditioning for one more show this year, and then that's it for me for 2018. And I'm going to spend 2019 actually focusing on a new organization that I am forming. It's in the sort of formative stages right now. It's called PLATA, PLATA, and it stands for Portland Local Actors and Theaters Alliance. And it's made mostly as a social network for actors and theater owners, artistic directors to get together and know each other. Because it's such a small community and everybody kind of already knows everybody anyway, it would be a nice feeling to walk into auditions and say, oh yeah, I know this person. That's not to say that it's nepotism, but it's more about just being familiar with one another. Like, oh yeah, I know that guy. I know this person. Yeah. And also one of the biggest things and most revolutionary that I would like to propose is adding a clause to a community theater contracts. When we sign our contract to say, we're going to be here on a certain time, we're going to know our lines, we're going to commit to the rehearsal and the performance schedule, that the theater will commit to giving one night's box office to the actors. And it doesn't have to be the entire box office. It could be a percentage, because I realize that theaters have production costs, and it's not here to make anybody rich. For example, a 100-seat theater that charges $20 a ticket that's $2,000, right? And so divided amongst 6 actors, for example, let's say this show, that's $466 per person. And if we even split it with the understudies, it's still $230 a person for a 4 months work, which is incredible. Now, take a show like Happy Days, which has like 16 people in it, and in the cast, and there's 94 seats. That if they charge, I believe, $15 at heart, something like that. So if it's $15, that's $84 a person for doing that production. And it's not. Some people might not think that's a lot of money. Some people might think it's a lot.
Like when you're paying gas or
babysitters. It might cover someone's gas. Yeah. It might cover someone's bus fare or bus ticket or monthly pass. Or it could be, in the cases of some actors, the fact that they made the rent or they paid a light bill or something, because it is a lot of time to dedicate to that. And the thing that's the best thing about it, that I think is the best thing about it, is it's adjustable. It's not written in stone. It should be adapted to the size of the cast, the size of the theater, and the size of their budget. And the thing that I really want to stress about it is that particular night is the responsibility of the actors to fill the house. That's the night they invite their friends, their family, their coworkers, anybody they want to invite.
Because if no one goes, they don't get...
Yeah, that's their motivation to fill the house on that night.
Also, no comps.
Right. No comps on that night.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, it's not here to make anybody rich, and it's not here to break any theater's budget. It's just here to be an incentive. Also, for the theaters, they can advertise at their audition, this is a PLATA show. We have a PLATA clause in our contract. And that might encourage some actors to audition who are thinking, I'd really like to dedicate 3 months to a show, but I have to work, or I have bills to pay, or, I've got kids, and it's a lot of time out of maybe them taking a second job or taking extra hours at their work. This might actually be a bit of a stipend for them.
Well, absolutely. And there's also this thing too, where I don't know if any of you guys, maybe your communities are a lot more supportive than mine is, but there's sometimes where I'll run into something with a family member or someone who is like, oh, you're still doing that. Mm-hmm. Oh, isn't that quaint? Because they don't understand.
What's going on with this acting thing?
It gives you something to sit down with, to hold in your hand, something tangible that validates you a little bit more to outside of the community.
Right.
Which would be amazing.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Well, so
thank you.
So
I'm glad to hear that.
doing. Oh my gosh, yeah. So that's what you're doing for 2019.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Right now it's kind of in the stages of, I'm working with a friend who's an attorney. We're going to try to make sure that this is all on the level, up and up, and make sure that the verbiage of it is written in a way so that it is adjustable. Parts of it are adjustable and parts of it are rigid. For example, we want to make sure that the actors are paid before the end of the run of the show. They don't have to be paid on that night, but before the end of the run or before the end of the accounting for that show, they have to be paid. Mm. They can't be like 3 years later or something like that, because that kind of loses its meaning and effect.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Johnny. Yeah. That sounds awesome.
Thank you.
Exciting, and I'm sure
I like to give back.
When how will we would know more about what's happening with PLATA? Is it going to be
There'll be a Facebook presence probably by the end of the year, and we'll start some social networking. We'll start just getting together and meeting people and discussing all kinds of aspects. It's not meant to be a union, and it's not meant to affect any other aspect of the production. And I want to hear feedback. I want to hear people's thoughts and ideas on it. And even if it's naysaying or the negative response, because I want to hear what we're going to come up against for it and fix it and make it work for everybody.
Wow. That's amazing.
That is amazing.
Thank you.
That's great.
No,
I'm excited about that.
Oh,
There's something like that should exist.
That will draw a lot of people too. Oh, this is a PLATA show.
And unfortunately, I'm sure there are going to be people that are like, no, that is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be.
And it is voluntary. I mean, there's no theater is going to be forced to do it. It's only theaters that want to do it.
Jump in with that.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Well, dude, thank you so much for being on the show. We're so excited to see Boeing. When does it open up again?
June 15th.
June
15th through the 30th.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're going to be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's our show. Thank you so much for listening. I also want to thank Johnnie Torres one more time for allowing us to interview him during his busy rehearsal schedule. And of course to Magenta Theater for letting us come down and record in their rehearsal space. Speaking of Magenta Theater, we want to encourage you to go check out their show, Boeing. You can find tickets to it by going to magentatheater.com. It's going to sell out fast, so if you want to check it out, which you should, buy tickets ASAP. Also, if you like what we're doing, please let us know by liking us and commenting our Facebook page, and giving us a 5-star rating on iTunes. It makes us feel so good about ourselves. Seriously. You want us to feel good about ourselves, don't you? You love us, don't you? Please say yes. Just give us that 5-star rating. All right, I'm done begging. Tune in next week to check out Sarah McWilliams and Playback Theater. That's all from us.